Okay. You guys good?
Yeah.
I'm good. Oh, sorry. Were you waiting?
No, it's fine. I was waiting for the confirmation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Noisy Pixel.
Hello and welcome back, folks, to the Noisy Pixel podcast for Tuesday, June 15th. I'm your host, Arthur, joined by the dude, Azario. How are you this week, Azario?
Arthur. Oh, shit.
No, shit. We ruined the intro.
As you can see, I'm unkept. I'm unwell. I haven't slept in days. It's been
you got the E3 fever. Like.
I'm not physically at E3, but I'm trying to replicate it as best as possible. I'm walking around at night, stumbling in the dark. Not in LA, but still very, very dark. And
the listeners love your energy, Azario. Last week when you opened the way you did, I was a little concerned about how it was going to go, how it was going to be received. But the comments were very clear. They're like, I love Azario's energy. I love what he brings.
I speak for the gamer. When you see me, you see not your celebrity big boy streamer gamer. You see you see yourself. You look in the mirror.
You see me. When people look at you, you're like, that guy hasn't influenced anything, just like me.
He has no fucking idea what is going on.
Just like me. Well, hopefully you can speak for Brian, who is not here this week, but we do have Ian joining us as well. Ian, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm not as tired, but oh man, trying to keep up with E3 and just the coverage that Noisy Pixel has done. Man, a lot of people have written like crazy articles for it, and you guys have been doing it like every day. It's something new, and it's been hard to keep track of. So I don't know how everybody's been able to keep up to speed, but
yeah.
Just the leadership of knowing they're led by a gamer like them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
They follow what they know. You know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I go in and edit it, so it all flows, and it all has a little touch of me everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm glad you do, honestly, because it's nice to, after frantically writing something and just being like, is this good? And we're like,
yeah, having the words that I've misspelled writing, and then someone would just call it, like, I'll misspell like pretty common words, putting it's instead of it's.
Or unkept instead of unkempt from a few minutes ago.
Yes. Exactly. Just I actually set that up so you could pull
or
back
this statement. Yes, we've really been planning the jokes a lot for this podcast. We got a lot in store for you.
So
we're going to talk about
try to count all 5 of them at the end of the episode. If you get them all, we'll give you a prize.
Yeah. We're going to be talking about some games we've been playing lately. Of course, we're going to be talking about E3 right now. And I was saying before the show, it's sort of a poor timing to put out the podcast in the middle of E3. But I think we've seen enough of the show so far that we can sort of comment on how it's been going and, what we sort of expect in the next few days. So for people who don't know, we record this Monday evening. So by the time you're listening to us, I imagine Nintendo will have had their conference. What else is happening on Tuesday?
Ghost of Wada would have come out.
I was going to say, Ghost of Wada still on the table in terms of E3 predictions.
Yeah. So all my other predictions have not come true, but Ghost of Wada, probable.
Maybe still on the table. So there's some other stuff coming down the line, but I don't know where to start. I do kind of want to start with this Gearbox article that you wrote for the site, which I thought was hysterical. I think I don't have the exact title in front of me. That's poor planning, but it was something too. We tried to come up with some news for the Gearbox conference, but couldn't do it. And then it was just like another however many words you need for an SEO, trigger.
Trigger, 100 words.
Yeah. And it's just like, not a lot happened, which may be emblematic of the show itself, would you say, Azario?
It was incredible watching that. Gearbox in the past, I don't like Gearbox games, but I do know that they carry some weight to them. Borderlands is a huge IP, but I kind of look forward to what they are publishing, less what they're developing. And in the past, they've actually published games, and I was hoping to see their publishing arm come up with like, here's 5 indies that we're publishing. Nothing. They rather give Kevin Hart 10 minutes of Kevin Hart, and it's like I can't go anywhere without fucking seeing Kevin Hart. Love the dude, but I don't need to be hearing him telling me to buy his book in Target, and then I don't need to be watching E3 telling me to go watch his movie.
Yeah. Generally, I think any celebrity appearance at any E3 has gone poorly.
Yeah.
I can't really think of one that went well. I mean, the best you can imagine is Keanu Reeves becoming a meme.
Yeah. And
But,
that's like set the bar so high for celebrities in gaming.
Keanu Reeves. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think Joel McHale hosting the Ubisoft one for so many years in a row and being totally ambivalent about it, but it's pretty great.
Him and Jeff Keighley's like total passive aggressive confrontations over, I think it was the first Game of the Year awards. Oh my God. That was, if you have not seen that, please, after the show, go watch it.
Generally though, if they're leading with a celebrity appearance, I'm like, oh boy.
Alicia Tyler does pretty well.
Aisha.
Yeah. It's not Ali. Yeah. What did I say? Alicia?
Not Aisha.
It's Aisha.
not her actual name. But yeah, you were saying
I want to say, Arthur, you don't watch our review videos, but that's very much in character of what Azario is, just getting names wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to say that is another one. Just giving you a hint. So if you're counting
the lore,
that's 2.
This is an active engagement show. You got a lot of things you got to be counting if you want to be part of the experience.
Exactly.
Well, we were talking last week that because of the coronavirus and things like that we could kind of expect a bit of a downer of a year for E3 because so much of production has been delayed or just disrupted in such a way, which is coming through in the show so far, since
Definitely.
There's not a lot. I mean, would you say that there was anything like new announced?
There was a Marvel's Avenger game.
And we're not just talking Gearbox at this point. I think that was just sort of like the most obvious example, but of what you've seen so far.
There was a Guardians of the Galaxy game. There's a lot of indie games. I think that the direction of the show is like this 2D HD indie video game announcements. Everyone's doing that Octopath Traveler style pixel adventure, super bloody pixel games, and that's what we've seen a lot of, is just bloody indie pixel games, and it's cool, but it's gonna get saturated fast because I feel like I've seen about 13 of them, and I feel like I'm writing the same plot point. Gerald's daughter's missing, and he's not gonna stop at anything to find her,
Mm-hmm. With all the 16-bit goodness from your past.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that I was going to ask Azario, the one that we were kind of making fun of, actually, just from behind the scenes, but we're kind of making fun of the Wholesome game, and I actually think, going back and watching, I think they actually did maybe one of the better presentations, because it was just consistent. Like, here's a game, here's a game, here's a game, here's a game, instead of I don't know. The other ones, it seemed like they lingered either too long, or I don't know.
And I agree. They had some of the nicer indie games available, and it was pre-recorded, so it was less awkward at times when they were talking. And the thing is, and it's evident when people react to these presentations. We had, for example, Square Enix and Capcom. Both publishers announced ahead of time what they were going to announce. They put it out there weeks ago. Capcom's going to talk about Monster Hunter Rise, Monster Hunter Stories 2. Square Enix is going to talk about a new Eidos game and some Babylon's Fall news and Life is Strange. This is exactly what they talked about, and people ripped them apart. And they already said what they were going to announce, and Square Enix came out with some Stranger of Chaos or something. I keep forgetting the damn name. It's a Final Fantasy Origins game, but it looks like an isekai where some random New Yorker dude gets transferred into Final Fantasy Origins and then becomes the Onion Knight or something like that. I don't know. There's very little about it, but so they gave us that. But I just don't understand the anger that people have when these publishers are like, well, clearly we don't have anything. Like, this is not a good year for anybody. let's just look forward to next year when we can actually announce stuff.
Yeah, people like the magic of E3, although I can't really remember. This might just be me getting older. I can't really remember the last time I was wowed. Actually, you know what? That's not true. I do remember the E3, and it was when all that used game stuff was happening. And that was more so just because of it was just like such a shock in terms of policy decision. But in terms of just like, here's a big game, something you've never seen before. I don't know. Am I just jaded now? Have you guys had a different experience? I feel like E3 has sort of been waning in its weight and importance for a few years.
I think it needs to be. It's tough because E3 has made this huge name for itself to be these huge reveals and stuff. So we come in expecting that, and people avoid it. Other publishers avoid it because it buries their announcements. If you announce something, it's gonna disappear within the next announcement. You know. Mm-hmm. So that's the issue with me with E3 is that we're not getting those big announcements, and it's because people don't want to share at an event where it's not going to really make sense. And I feel like you're right. The last sharing thing when Xbox One and stuff like that was shown, I feel like that was like the last time I was excited about something.
Yeah, you got wowed again.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. And I'm wondering, just in the back of my head too, with a lot of what wowed me has stopped being like graphics, because a lot of times when you see something graphically that looks really cool, it looks shiny or whatever, you know. And a lot of games are just kind of at this point where they don't feel like they're getting much better like they were really climbing up there as far as presentation. And I think, the last time that I was really wowed was that backwards compatibility and hearing about that. And I would like to see more stuff like that. And that was the last time I really felt excited. And I don't even own like an Xbox, but but just the future of maybe that creating some competition and actually considering games that are older, and actually being able to play them.
Yeah, I think the tech of the consoles has gotten to the point where new projects can't necessarily take advantage of that tech to the extent that they did in previous years. Something as simple as draw distance. Like you could have an exponential increase from generation to generation, like, oh, you thought Dynasty Warriors on the PS2 was crazy.
Yeah.
Now you can see even further, and there's even more guys with no low frame rate. Me personally, I know, like, I was a big fan of GTA for a while, and I felt like each new iteration was like, oh man, this world's even bigger. And, there's even more ancillary nonsense that you can do. You can gain weight in this one. You can get muscle. You got a girlfriend in this one. You have a cell phone and you can call your friends and hang out with them. But at some point, the tech, like, you could kind of just make whatever game you wanted. There was no new, like Dead Rising is a game I thought of like that. Dead Rising, you may think of as like just like a weird Japanese game in retrospect. But at the time, it's like you've never had this many things on screen before. Like it was sort of a tech demo in addition to being just a good game. And it was sort of taking advantage of that tech to give you something that you couldn't have before. But we don't really see that as much anymore. And I don't know if that's because we've just reached a limit with it, or because just like the industry is pursuing other trends, like just being more, reliably profitable.
I think they're just using like streaming and like gamers making money off of playing video games. Publishers are finding ways to get their games out there without the need for E3s. Square Enix can host their own live digital show and just as many people will show up.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they shifted over to this. This is our Western show. We know E3 is for Western viewers. We're going to show our Western games. It's pretty smart in that regard, but everyone was like, dude, I had people coming up to me saying Kingdom Hearts news was coming. Like we're going to get, and I'm like, are you fucking out of your mind? Kingdom Hearts news? What do you do? What's going on? Like, it's the expectations that people set on events like this that really hold it back.
You think Kingdom Hearts news would be too big of a deal
for an American event? I think, as for E3, what I was thinking when you were explaining that, I was more thinking like, what could these people announce that would actually wow me?
Yeah.
What could it be? And it sucks because a lot of the quick thought process that I had were PlayStation IPs. If PlayStation brought back Wild Arms or Legend of Dragoon, I would freak the fuck out. If a new PlayStation All Stars was announced, I would freak out.
Layer 2.
It's just it's stuff like that really make me go like, oh shit. But during Microsoft's announcement, I didn't really get anything from that. They could have shown
Halo not getting you hyped.
Well, the thing is they barely showed Halo proper. They showed more multiplayer than Halo Infinite. And kind of the fact that it's coming out on Xbox One and not a Series X exclusive. I hate this like pedal backwards. Why did they release the Series X?
Well, so that's like a stealth news story, right? Like E3 is going on and people still can't buy those new consoles because of the shortages, right?
Yeah. Why even release them? Why not just chill, guys? Like
the chicken that both of them were playing. Both of them want. I mean, I'm totally guessing here, but I would assume both companies, Sony and Microsoft, wanted to wait another year, but they got enough word that the other one was going to go, and they didn't want to be a year late. So, although at this point, I mean, Xbox could have easily waited a year. Like, is there a single exclusive for that console yet? No, right?
No, they just lost their own exclusive, which was a third-party horror game, The Medium. I think it was.
Yeah,
and it's coming to PS4 and PS5.
Yeah, I mean, that's not exactly a blockbuster, right? So
no, it has the Silent Hill composer behind it, which is cool, but it's a very AA game.
Are you saying from the makers of PT?
No, just the composer.
Sounds like a maker to me. Put it on the box.
To sell it, yeah. To sell it, you can just put maker.
Yeah.
Developer from Ubisoft Montreal, and all he does is do eyes for just years. But this is his new game.
We got the butt guy from Bayonetta, from the makers of Bayonetta, PT, and Ubisoft Montreal. Yeah. All right. Well, we're being a bit of a downer, but again, I mean, most of the show has not happened yet, so Nintendo could save us all with some Breath of the Wild footage.
Yes, we have Nintendo. Bandai Namco is going to have their own event.
I should note, I don't think Breath of the Wild 2 is called Breath of the Wild 2 anymore, right? But
I don't know I don't think they've announced anything, but probably it won't be. That probably won't be the official title, but yeah.
Okay, so maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised, but definitely seems like the show has been affected by current state of affairs in a variety of ways. So we'll stay tuned for that. Keep checking the site, noisypixel.net, for coverage. Azar, you've been pumping out articles.
In the first day 1 we posted 36 articles. Day 2 we posted about 50. Today I haven't counted them, but I think today was a little.
It's more than 50. Oh, okay, never mind.
No, today was light because they had like a Verizon event or something like that where
5G.
Yeah, they had some weird events today. It was a very strange day for E3. It felt more like an ad. Like the whole day was an ad for something.
Well, I mean, that's E3, right?
Yeah, we're just trying to sell some ad space.
Hey, this show's just marketing. Wait a minute.
I'm being marketed to.
They just convinced me to watch a bunch of ads. They got me again.
I just wanted what I expected from this live stream stuff was more like here's a few hours of just interviews of just developer jargon, just developers gushing about their games, and there's none of that. And if there was, that is very little. You know, what I love about E3 is hanging out with developers and hearing them
talk about their game that's going to get micromanaged by producers.
Yeah.
For that little window, they get to say, "This is the vision we have."
Yeah, E3 in general. You do get a lot of PR around you most of the time to limit that. I think PAX is a better example.
That's kind of my stealth opinion. I feel like whatever E3 was, that's what PAX is now.
Yeah.
That's the thing that people are excited about. That's where you get the sense of community. I mean, I look forward to PAX, even though I'm overpaying for the PAX East tickets every year at this point. And they canceled it this year.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have done that to you.
To me specifically.
But we're going to PAX West.
Noisy Pixel is.
We'll have to phone you in if you don't go. We'll have to phone in a podcast episode.
I don't know, man. I'll try to continue being unemployed and see what happens.
I hope your journey.
Hey, man, I got so I added this to my LinkedIn, and I got contacted.
I'm a fucking host.
Podcast producer.
Oh yes, sorry.
And and it's not just that I host a podcast. I consult on content strategies. Okay.
Yeah.
And I got reached out to by some recruiter saying that he wanted to hire a podcast producer. I'm like, dude, like that experience on my profile has been there for 3 weeks. Like, what are you looking for?
Oh, the game was called Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin.
Let's shift to like actual games that we may actually be interested in. Maybe you can lead with that one, or if you have another one in mind that things you're looking at. We don't have to go into intimate detail because obviously anybody listening to this can just check out the stuff that we've seen as well.
Yes.
But anything that you want to ping for the audience that you're interested in specifically?
Oh man, I was excited for Babylon's Fall until they said it was an online co-op action adventure with endless missions. They just like started throwing these trigger words at me that were just like, fuck, this game sucks. This is not what I wanted. Yeah, it was like, oh, Babylon's Fall, this like action Platinum Games developed game where it's set in medieval times and you could just climb this tower and fight and chill. And now it's an online 4-player fucking co-op game like Destiny or something.
With NFT support.
Yeah, it doesn't have
lifetime subscriptions.
There's this game called 12 Minutes, and there's an indie game. It was previously announced, but it was shown a little more, and it's supposed to be an Xbox exclusive right now, also coming to PC, but for console. The reason why I like it is because it has William Dafoe as one of the characters, and that
Willem, please.
Willem Dafoe. Sorry. There was a firefight.
I saw that film. Was that 22 years ago?
Sorry. That's my best William Dafoe impression.
Willem, yes.
There's that Ridley girl from the new Star Wars.
Oh, Daisy Ridley.
And then there's McAvoy from
X-Men.
Yeah, John was it John McAvoy?
James.
James McAvoy. James McAvoy.
I like all these alternate reality names you have for people.
John McAvoy and William Dafoe joining Daisy Ripley. It's a wild
What the
cast.
fuck is wrong with me?
You might have
E3.
like a brain thing, you know. That's
Yeah.
Like
something that
I
people
know
have.
I could fucking tell you, I could fucking talk you straight through Final Fantasy VII and tell you every fucking character all the way to Dirge Cerberus, but I can't remember these fucking names.
Oh.
Yeah, you might have that thing. It's like the name variant of, like, when we look at trees, we can't distinguish trees, but you look at names and you just can't distinguish
You
names.
just
right?
can't- they're all just words to me.
Yeah, it's same alphabet, buddy. Come on, give me a break. Oh yeah, oh, this is a pine tree. Yeah, sure. I see leaves and wood, my guy.
But yes,
okay,
that
so
game.
Babylon, the opposite of what I asked, a game that you are not looking forward
No,
to.
no. But 12 minutes I am. It's a game where
We're-
you play
we're-
multiple times.
Oh, okay.
It is
Yeah.
a downer, isn't it? We're being a little sour.
We're all
Yeah.
about negativity at Noisy Pig.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
guess so.
Are you excited about something? Why? Are you dumb?
Are you dumb?
Do you have like hope for life? You must be like under the age of 25 or something. You know, we're big into nihilism on this podcast. And space goes coast to coast.
Yeah.
I did like the
What? Tell me about 12 minutes. What is this?
so it's a it's kind of has roguelike elements where you play as the characters and you're in a room kind of over the top, very cinematic, where is the characters kind of talk and you choose the dialogue options, but things you do and ways that you navigate the characters in this space will change the outcome. William Dafoe's character is like a hitman of some sorts, and he's gonna come in the room right away, but basically you will die. But like this groundhog effect, James McAvoy,
Yep.
he wakes up every day, and the same day plays over. So he uses the experience from the days before to kind of try and navigate the situation differently. But it's tough because
dialogue focus, like you're selecting dialogue options to navigate through, like an adventure game type of thing.
Yeah, it's tough because he only has 12 minutes to kind of fix the situation.
The game I played this week is remarkably similar to that pitch, but I'll talk about that later. Okay.
And that was
cool.
and I've been seeing it a lot, and it looks really cool.
Mm.
Looks really cool.
Ian, you got something you've been looking at that gets you jazzed?
Yeah, there were a couple indie games that I know people are all burnt out on anything cyberpunk, so I won't dwell on it too long, but this game called Replaced looks really cool. And you play as, I guess, like if you were going to take Blade Runner, you play as like the replicant or an AI. So you already know that. It's not like a spoiler. And I think just exploring that world, and it has a really cool...
By you play the replicant, I assume you mean you play the Blade Runner who is hunting down the robots, right?
Oh, that's a controversial. Yeah. But yeah.
the replicants are the robot dudes. The main character is the Blade Runner, right?
Yeah, no, it's not. Well, I guess here's the thing: is I don't know how much like story wise they've gone into, but you are. I don't know if you're actually hunting down any AI or anything, but you are AI. So I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay.
World,
I just wanted to clarify. Okay.
Yeah. But no, good point. Yeah, so it's a side scroller, and they have this really cool layering effect, and it does look kind of like some other indie games. I can't think of any that like come to mind, but it is pixelated in a way, but with really smooth animation. But it's a little bit hard to distinguish like features and stuff like that. So it's
like glitch motifs. That's what I would imagine. Like when you say pixel art in cyberpunk, there's always that option to have like a blurry thing.
It's very much like that Octopath Traveler in respect that you're just traveling from it's it's left to right. It's 2D, but you kind of travel in a 3D space almost. But the thing that caught me about this game was just the action and kind of how you do combat. It's very bloody, but to show that impact with pixels is really tough, because you got to show a bone breaking with just pixel art isn't the easiest thing to do, especially when the characters kind of are all dark and everything's kind of moody, and it did it really well.
Is this the Hyper Light Drifter comparison available here?
Yeah, I can see that, but a little more budgeted, a little more indie.
Yeah.
That was a violent pixel art game.
That might fall into the category of what Azaria was talking about earlier. Like Taken, an indie title of like Taken, basically. But I know that everybody's kind of like tired of that genre. I mean, I love that genre, but it's totally understandable. It's kind of been overdone. So another one was Hunt the Night, which
it looks so good.
Cool. It looks good, right?
Yeah.
And it is like an overhead. I don't know. I got kind of like, there's a lot of games I guess you could tie it to, but in my head, I almost thought of it more as like a more serious take on like Zombies Ate My Neighbors, kind of, in a weird way. Yeah. But it is kind of reminiscent of some other indie games. But one of the things that came to mind was this looks like some roguelikes and roguelikes that I played, but I guess it's not, which is to me very exciting because nothing against that genre, but there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. Yeah, that's all. Definitely. So, but yeah, you're just taking out zombies. It's very like Castlevania looking, like in style, and it's good old like Halloween.
Yeah, but top down, like a Link to the Past type of thing. Yeah,
more like I guess that top down gameplay, but with the kind of that Castlevania art design kind of thing.
Yeah, but, to use a cliche, you could say it is Bloodborne-esque, right?
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't go total Cthulhu, but very Halloween vibes.
Yeah. I'm all about it. So, and the fact that it looks like it's not going to be roguelite got me excited. Just yeah.
Those violent pixel art games.
I guess,
it's the year of violent pixel art games.
Yeah.
It's like the one thing you can keep making through the pandemic, I guess.
I would say that I am excited for Way Forward announcing that River City Girls 2 is in development, which River City Girls was just a great beat 'em up. Kind of in the Scott Pilgrim vein where you can just hang out with a friend and go from left to right and beat up some guys. And
I assume there is a connection to River City Ransom.
Yes, it is based. You play as the two girlfriends of the main characters, which is also cool because they announced that River City Girls 0 is coming out, and this was a 1994 Super Famicom release in Japan that never came west. So Way Forward is also working with Arc System Works to bring that over, and in this, that's the official first game where you can play as the two girls. Ricky and some no, that's the boys' names.
Bimmy and Jimmy.
Yeah, Bimmy and Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Yeah, but so it's exciting. I like Way Forward handling cool IPs like that. They typically do a good job. They didn't do a good job with Bakugan, but I don't know how you could. But you know what? I bet they did a good job all the way to a fucking bank with that Bakugan money. Jesus Christ. If I would have saw that, I'd be like, fuck, let's do it. We'll give you a Bakugan game. I'll say that the art is good. The art is good in Bakugan Revenge of the Bakus or whatever it's fucking called. But it wasn't a very good game.
Yeah, the one benefit of not being able to do a lot of development on original stuff is it incentivized some developers to look at their catalog and see if they can re-release something somewhere. And
sometimes you gotta release a stinker.
Yeah, well, there's some fan favorites waiting in some catalogs.
Sometimes you gotta develop the Tony Hawk 2 version of on Game Boy Advance or something, or Game Boy, the Game Boy game version of Tony Hawk 2. It happens. We're all there.
Yeah. All right, very cool. I have not been paying super close attention to the show, although last week I was saying how I was sort of hoping to see something from Obsidian, and I think that they had to do something with Bethesda. And there was a good contrast between the Starfield trailer and the Outer Worlds 2 trailer. I wasn't expecting Outer Worlds 2, to be honest.
I wasn't either.
Because, I mean, one, they just put out that expansion. So I felt like whatever that team is doing has been cycled on to whatever the next project is. I didn't think it was like right on to the new game. But they were making jokes about it in the trailer. It's like a tongue-in-cheek, ironic narrator saying, here's this monster we're going to show you that's not going to be in the actual game. And we're doing this to show epic scale without actually showing any gameplay.
I do like that direction too, because it does play into the game, but also I went to an Outer Worlds like preview event, and all the developers have that attitude too, this like kind of joking, sarcastic, lively. I don't know, you can tell that their personalities are in this game, and I think that's what made me like it a little more. It wasn't like there's like these serious, stern people. They're actually having.
Yeah, I kind of had a mixed reaction to that in the first game. It definitely made it unique and pleasant to play, but the few times they tried to do dramatic stuff, I felt like it never landed.
Yeah.
And it was mainly because it was just like such a hard shift to like.
Now we expect you to care about whether these people die or these people live. But we just got done telling you a bunch of jokes.
The drunk or pink-haired crazy character is going to cry about how she lost somebody in her past, and it's like, this is the first time you've been serious in the past 6 hours I've played this game. And it sort of rolled downhill to a lot of the mechanics of the game. By the end of that time that I was playing that, like I'd gone over reading like all the fun gimmicks for the items that you pick up. And it's like, these items just aren't very useful, there's the lack of mechanics here. Anyway, it was a fun contrast in that trailer to the Starfield one, which was exactly the same in terms of content, but without like the humor of like, maybe you won't notice that we didn't show gameplay. There's some question of if the Starfield thing was gameplay or not, but given that you watch a character go up a ladder, I can pretty much confirm that's not a Bethesda gameplay game. Yeah. So
I don't remember. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The Starfield trailer is just a girl sitting in a ship or like a spacecraft, and it's going to go up. Is that?
Yeah. They walk up a ladder and then they sit in the seat, and
it looks like a cinematic trailer. It definitely looks.
I didn't need that,
I could have used the world again and just the logo. We're still working on it. Like, why didn't you could have just did that instead of putting like 3 days of budget.
Fade from black, Starfield,
still in development. Yeah, would that be okay to do? You think people would get mad? Capcom actually did that in their event where they're like, just a text on a screen that was like, we heard the demand, we're bringing DLC to Resident Evil Village. But that's all they said about it. Like, there's nothing shown.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Very.
I mean, like you said, like, how long did it take to put together those assets?
Yeah.
Oh, now there's a trailer. Great. Maybe they're making monetary money off the YouTube hits.
That's actually a really good point.
Yeah, I kind of said that half-assedly as a joke. I'm like, wait a minute, how many views did that thing get?
Yeah. So
get a little stimulus.
I wonder at what point though, like the reveal actually, is there a point where it actually does hurt developers? Like if you reveal something but there's nothing there, or if you reveal something that's maybe lackluster, does that hurt the actual anticipation of the game?
I don't know if it hurts the anticipation. I think long tail, there can kind of be some negative reactions. The example I'm thinking of is BioShock Infinite, where what they showed off was totally different. And that's because that game had such a wild development cycle. So, but when it's so vague like this, I don't know, it's sort of inconsequential.
Yeah.
I thought we were over this cinematic trailer only thing, but it's going to continue.
I don't know, man. Well, anyway, so I mean, those are two games I'm looking forward to in general. Not a lot of gameplay or anything to show there, but I'll take what I can get. I think that's it for E3 for now. We're going to take a quick little break and then come back and talk about some games we've been playing. So stay tuned. Welcome back, folks, to the Noisy Pixel podcast. We're going to talk about some games we've been playing. When you're not watching E3 coverage, still get to unwind with some cool stuff. Zara, you've been playing 2 games.
Ooh.
And they're both so big profile that you forgot about the other one. I have to remind you of it. But why don't you start with the crowd pleaser? Let's go with the weeb stuff.
Yes. So I don't want to spoil much of the story because it is a PS5 exclusive.
Sephiroth is the bad guy.
He's definitely a bad guy. There's some materia and there's a chocobo or two. And that's it. Did I spoil anything?
Tell me about Final Fantasy VII.
It was a chocobo, huh?
Intermission.
That's what did it.
So Final Fantasy Intermission is the expansion DLC for Final Fantasy VII Intergrade, which is the PS5 release of Final Fantasy VII Remake. And
Yuffie.
it is definitely, I love Yuffie. She
takes all your materia in disc 3 and then you never play the game again.
Me? I mean, I could get her in disc 1. I don't know where you're getting her at.
No, you have her already, but then by disc 3, she has that thing where she takes all your materia.
Oh yeah, she'll randomly take your materia.
Yeah. And then you're like, I was already just barely playing this game. And now I'm out.
It's funny because I don't know many people who played as her. I was definitely a Cloud, Vincent, Tifa kind of Tifa.
Hold on. I was like, hold on.
Tifa.
You're telling me you're a Tifa person?
Tifa player. The thing about this release is that it does give us a side of Yuffie that we didn't see in the game. She never really stood out. She was an optional character. She really got to expand, and you know what? She's so fucking adorable. They capitalized on these interactions with her where she's just like kind of semi-bullied, wanting to be the boss, wanting to be in charge, and really like holding her own in this. She's kind of, if you know the expression, she's like a chuny, like she pretends that it's like she's like in this fantasy world, and she's like coo coo coo,
I'm sorry, I can't follow you there. I'm sure our listeners understand the style.
Yeah,
person
she's like subtly that, and there's a lot of love put into expanding her character, and if anything, this sets her up for part 2.
Is it like a fake confidence? Is that the thing that you're kind of describing?
Yeah, but it's backed up. It's weird in the story when she does carry herself in this kind of nonchalant way of heading off the beaten path, but her mind is able to just snap into kind of hey, I know we got shit to do. And it's interesting how the story uses that personality of hers to progress all the way to the end. And
so does Intermission have like its own Yuffie storyline? Is that the thing?
It's 2 chapters of just Yuffie, and she has a partner named Sonnen. And yeah, there's some ties to the original game. They've already announced this. They've already put screenshots out that
can you help me out by what you mean by original game?
Well, I mean the base game. Sorry, the base game. They have like Scarlet's in there, and she plays a bigger role than she did in Remake. And
you were a big fan of the remake overall, right?
I did like it.
So this being more of that, by definition, you'd say is pretty good, right?
There's some stuff with the character, the stuff with the narrative that was kind of flimsy on how they handled some of the characters. But with only 2 chapters, I don't see what you could have did. You know, they will definitely deserve some time to just slow down. There's ways that you can interact with the environment that you couldn't do as Cloud, that you can do as Yuffie, and I hope that kind of makes its way into part 2 of the game. I never liked how you can only play as Cloud in remake.
Why? He's the best character of all time. That's why they put him in Smash. They didn't put Yuffie in Smash or Tifa or Aerith.
You're right, Aeris. They didn't put Aeris in Smash.
Did they not? Do they not? Okay.
No.
Never mind. I don't actually care.
The thing I didn't like is that it does naturally extend into part 2 of whatever remake is gonna be. It kind of meets it at the head of remake, you know? And I don't think it's fair to people who don't have a PS5 that can't play it. You know, it's sad in that regard. There's a 6-month exclusivity, but that's 6 months to have this thing ruined for you. I don't think it's fair.
Well, it sounds like if you can get your hands on it, that it's an enjoyable experience.
For fans, the fan service here, top notch. No bathing suit DLC, but
forget it. I'm going back to Dead or Alive.
I'll meet you there. And the other game I've been playing is Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. And fuck.
So I've lost track of how many Ratchet and Clank games there are.
Too many.
I think I played Deadlocked, and that was the last one, and that was the one after the original trilogy where they're like, we're gonna go full gamer with this one. And it was like dark and gritty and a lot shorter. But I remember those original games quite fondly. I think there's been like 1 or 2. Yeah, there's one near that movie. They've kind of always been the same game though, right?
There's tons. There's like Up Your Arsenal.
That's the 3rd one.
Yeah,
that was the best one that I remember. Going Commando, there's the second one.
Going Commando. There's like one that's digital only.
PS3 had a few of them, and there's like a big lull, and then there's the movie, and then
there's like the reboot one.
Yeah,
and this one, it's crazy to think that Insomniac Games can take the 3D platforming genre and still make it fun. Where you do have all these games and you're like, well, what are they going to do? But I do believe they took a lot of the experience that they had from the Spider-Man games and kind of brought it to this game. And they didn't really have to worry about NPCs reacting to Spider-Man or it wasn't all about that. They did have NPCs walking around in certain areas, but I did enjoy the sense of scale that they brought to a Ratchet and Clank game. More open. Everything's more open.
Can I just say real quick? Sorry. First of all, 1, I forgot that I played A Crack in Time. That's actually the most recent one I played. And 2, there's actually a lot more Ratchet and Clank games.
There's tons. Yeah, there's tons.
I forgot about things like Secret Agent Clank and
on PSP.
Frontal Assault and yeah.
And
not all made by Insomniac. Some not made by Insomniac, which is kind of wild.
Was Insomniac Games bought by Sony recently?
I think they've always been.
So
they've always been a first party.
I don't know.
That's how they got the Spider-Man property.
Spider-Man stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
So I do like that.
I'm sorry, you're right. By the way, purchased by Sony Interactive Entertainment in 2019.
Okay. Yeah.
So I guess they're technically like a second party.
Yeah, like a little helper. Because they did Sunset Overdrive on Xbox One.
True. Yeah. And then Sony was like, okay, enough of that.
No, yeah. Go on. We'll give you. You
never
pay
do
rent.
that to us again.
Get your ass back over here.
Yeah.
I do like the 3D platforming there. I was never bored. Usually in 3D platformings, you use the same thing over. What they did is they brought this rift mechanic into the game where you can grapple onto this kind of dimensional thing and pull yourself to the next area. So that that comes back in every stage, but everything else
like a portal mechanic, you could say.
Yeah, and they kind of incorporate into some boss battles, but they don't overdo it. It's not like it's called Rift Apart, but you're not always doing this action, so it never gets old. And then you do stuff like you'll race on these like critters, and you won't really do it again. And I think what they did was they made this challenge mode world where you can go and you can just take these challenges, and then that's where you can recreate the stuff. Like you could do all the mini games that you did in the game, but instead of making you do it several times in this game, like a Spyro the Dragon type thing where you always have to play the same mini game to get something, well, they just brought it to this arena type thing where you'll play it again there and they'll reuse it there. And then there's like these challenge platforming sections where you have to wall run and time your jumps, and it's all really good. It's all like it's tight. It's the upgrades are fun. It's easy to navigate.
Insomniac kind of known for their pristine development and design.
I just didn't like how both characters, because there's a female Lombax,
voiced by Jennifer Hale,
Rivet, and she doesn't feel any different than Ratchet. They both play the same. And that kind of, I was like, well, who cares? Because you could choose a planet the planet will have the face next to who you're going to play as. But I was like, well, who the fuck cares? It doesn't matter. Like, I'll just play the next one after the next one. Like,
there's not like different personalities to the type of character.
They're personalities, but they both play the same. If I got booster shoes as Ratchet, when I transfer over to Rivet, she's going to have those booster shoes.
Okay.
So really even though she wasn't on the planet to get them. And yeah, so that's all I did. If I was going to play a Rivet, maybe she could have like a special skill or ability that only she could do. And that'll make me I don't want to play her stage because I have to do this. So I'll just do a Ratchet stage now. But it made no sense because I would just do them all. So I didn't like that about the game.
Well,
and the enemies repeat a lot. There's
more of a missed potential rather than a dislike, right?
Yeah. It could have been more. And then there's a lot of the same enemies everywhere you go. There's the same enemies, and they all fight the same.
You collect bolts. You upgrade some guns. There's a bunch of weird ones.
Yeah, there's a ton of weird ones.
So it's a Ratchet game for sure.
Yeah,
I remember, Zario, we were talking about it maybe 2 episodes ago about if it needs to be on next gen, and I was wondering after you played it, what do you think? Is it necessary, or do you think it utilized? Okay.
The only thing that I could think of that it was necessary was that the bolts that rain everywhere, there's a lot of them. So I'm only imagining that maybe making all those particles and
that ray tracing, man.
It's all about the ray tracing in the end. It all comes down to that.
You look at those rays and you're like, I couldn't trace those.
Yeah, maybe there's some lighting effects that need to be toned down, but I don't think it needs to be a PS5 exclusive.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Again, I think it's just mean at this point. If you're already releasing God of War on PS4, why not this game? Why are you keeping it exclusive?
Do away with exclusives, just in general. Let's bring everything to everything.
I would prefer to let me play PS2 games on a PS5.
Yeah, why not? Backwards compatibility. Hey, Xbox can do it.
Xbox can do it. Good guy.
I can play Fable on an Xbox Series X. Well,
Arthur, how do you feel about Starfield being Xbox Series X Xbox exclusive?
Well, I play everything on PC, so
it'll come to PC. You're right.
I don't care.
All right.
Yeah. That's really the only motivation I have to buy a console at all, is to just buy a PlayStation for the Sony exclusives. But even then, like I didn't like God of War, and I don't know what else I'm waiting for.
I didn't like God of War either.
Yeah. You press some buttons.
Yeah.
Big whoop. Am I right? There's a review.
I just didn't like the emotional thing of it all.
The newer, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a little too. I mean, this guy's a fucking badass God, and he's crying about his dead wife.
You know,
Brother fucking drowning in the pussy every day, every week up in Olympus.
yeah. What happened to casual threesome Kratos from 2005?
Bring him
This
back.
is just,
David Jaffe.
another attack from the liberal media destroying
David Jaffe,
masculinity.
incidentally.
I am totally kidding, by the way.
Yeah, we're joking.
Absolute joke.
This is sarcasm.
Yeah, go ahead.
But David Jaffe did come in an E3 announcement for movie games. He announced like Lust, Beyond the Darkness coming to consoles and stuff. But I can only imagine. I didn't check this out, of just the journalistic reaction to him being at E3 in some capacity, even though it was just him like announcing.
He's not like making games anymore, right?
No. He said on this announcement that he is going to announce something soon. He does like streams. He does like podcasts.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I don't know if I mentioned this. David Jaffe recently, like a month or two ago, called me a dumbass on Twitter because I didn't realize it was him, and he posted something that was really cringy. So I said it was cringy, and he retweeted me and said like, "Oh, did I reach your cringe threshold, dumbass?" And a bunch of people started adding me, calling me a dumbass. I'm like,
did you feel like a dumbass?
It's not the first time I've been called a dumbass by somebody that I had some respect for on Twitter. So I don't.
That's always the sad part. You can't really go back and be like, dude, I used to like you. Fuck you.
No, I mean it's Twitter. I had David Simon from The Wire call me a non-sentient being for being so stupid because of something.
Why are you being so stupid?
I just I gotta drop the hot takes, man. I can't hold on to it. Too spicy.
You are such a nihilist.
You're such a space ghost to coastist.
God. Just chill. Why don't you just fall in line like everyone else and tell them how good they are, tell them how much you like their work, and move on.
I agree.
Get out the door. You're like that person that has the 50 posters there trying to get everybody them to sign the 50 posters. No. You say that one thing, you move on.
Yeah. Yeah, I take it back. I agree, David Jaffe. Returnal is the Blade Runner of video games. That was a smart thing to say.
Oh, yeah.
I've been playing a video game that we can talk about briefly. I played this 2 weeks ago. I saw Jason Schreier retweet it. It's a game called Overboard. It's on Steam. It looked really cool. It's similar to the thing that you talked about with 12 Minutes or whatever the actual title was of that game. So it's like a roguelike adventure game that's dialogue based. And the pitch is you play this woman sailing across the Atlantic from Europe. And it begins by you tossing your husband overboard and you kill him. And you're not given a lot of indication on why you did that. So there's a bit of the first round of playing the game is sort of discovering okay, what's actually happening here. And each run takes 5 to 10 minutes or so. You wake up and your husband's not there. The first interaction you have is there's some some staff that's knocking on the door, and you have to make a decision of do I suggest that my husband is already missing? Do I pretend he's still here? And that type of thing. So you get a lot of branching paths immediately. And there's 6 or 7 places you can go on the ship, and each location has somebody that you can talk to, and the people move around the ship throughout the day. So there's sort of an active time element to it. So if you spend time in one room, then the thing that you could have done in the other room is already gone, and you have to wait until the next time you play it to sort of check out what's there. So I had some high hopes for it. It's an interesting idea just by merging the two genres. You're taking a roguelike and you're taking a story-based adventure game and seeing if that can work. I think the problem that I ran into almost immediately is I felt like I found what the ideal beginning of the game was. I should always do these 4 things no matter what. Mm-hmm. And it has some elements to make that go by faster. So it will highlight the option that you picked on your last run when you're playing it again.
Yeah. And you can easily see. It's
right. And you have a fast forward function, so you can skip through dialogue, which will automatically pick the thing that you picked last time. So you don't have to pay attention and pick the same thing. And while that like minimizes the inconvenience, it doesn't do what a lot of clever roguelikes have done, which is sort of leaned into a flaw and made it better. So like Hades, for example, one of the general criticisms of roguelikes is you don't want to play the same thing over and over and over again. So the randomness factor that happens in a lot of roguelikes is the reason why you'd be okay replaying it, because it's not the same every time. And one thing that Hades did was it connected progressing in the story with just dying in your run. So even if you only played for 2 rooms and then died, you went back to that main room and you got to talk to all these characters that you hopefully like. So this game minimizes an inconvenience of having to repeat the same thing over and over again. And I understand why they couldn't necessarily like change what happens every single time, because that might be frustrating. But it really started to grate on me very quickly. So actually,
fast-forwarding part.
Just the opening. I was redoing the same thing.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
And I didn't feel very rewarded when I tried doing other things. So
yeah, and that would have caused you to put that on yourself, right? You would have to go, if you already know that these 4 options are what you want to do, you would only choose something else if you're super fucking bored and just wanting to see what happens. You know,
yeah.
Like, let me do, okay, like this is the 17th time I've gone through. Let me just see what's going to happen, and then just go back to what you were doing before.
Yeah, and initially when you're first playing the game, the first few runs are like the most fun because you're just exploring. You're like, let me try this other stuff. But the process of elimination, like even when the runs are 5 to 10 minutes long, and you get to the end and it failed for a new reason, and now you're like, okay, what? Like I changed too many things to eliminate one thing in particular and give it another run. So now I have to try to like process of elimination. Okay, what did I do that made this happen? And then while you're doing that, oh, I forgot to do that one thing in that order. So now there's like another X factor. And I was kind of losing track of it in some ways. And it just wasn't very rewarding. So I would say it was an interesting idea. Well, and the other thing was, so there's like a specific fail state that you're going to run into the first time you play the game and the first 10 times you play the game. And when you overcome that fail state, there's another fail state behind that suggests there's some other things you had to do in order to avoid that fail state. And so I beat the first fail state, I beat the second fail state, and then there's a third fail state. And there's probably more after that, but I was like, I just don't care anymore. Like I'm not going to.
Maybe you should have checked the water in the cup. Mm-hmm. You want to go back and check it?
You should have gotten that dolphin statue and dropped it out the window. I did that a few times and I had no idea what that did, but I don't know. That's an option that I wasn't going to map out everything that could happen. It's like I was making a spreadsheet at some point. So interesting idea. I think there may be there's something there that another pass through second draft on the design may work out a bit better. But just an interesting game. It came out in the past few weeks or so, and people may have seen it. So I just wanted to mention that one.
It was cool. Do you know the developer by chance?
Not off the top of my head. I could easily look it up. I don't know if I said this. I returned the game.
Oh, you're that guy.
I played it for exactly 2 hours, and that was when I hit the moment of like, I kind of never want to play this again. And that's the exact cutoff for Steam returns. Inkle Ltd.
Haven't heard of them.
It looks like they've made some other stuff. Heaven's Vault, 80 Days. Oh, these are all kind of older games. So I don't know.
That's too bad. The premise sounds really cool, but
yeah. There's something there.
Yeah. There's something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have a hard stop today.
We do. We do. I was going to say, yeah, Ian has it. I was like, I'm not going to blow up Ian's spot. So. He has to pick up Brian from the hospital because clearly he couldn't make it to the show for some reason.
Too many articles. He was writing too many.
Brian, we've learned, has brought all the positivity to the show, which is why we are Debbie Downers this week. Very
sad today.
But next week, when more of E3 has completed, maybe some more news stories to talk about, some of the games we've been playing.
Maybe Ghost of Wada.
maybe Ghost of Wano is still on the table. But yeah, listeners, if you want to engage and add us on Twitter or post in the comments on YouTube, just some thoughts you have on E3, some things you're looking forward to, impressions. If you think we're off base with our response, are we old geezers, or have you been enjoying the show more than usual years? Happy to hear from you. Always happy to read comments and emails and such on the show. But that's gonna be next week. Keep reading noisypixel.net, and that's it.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
Noisy Pixel.